people, some people on Twitter and people out there saying, look, why are you guys all talking about this? It was just a few days. It wasn't life-threatening. And look, I can understand a little bit about what they're saying, but when you see these people, when there's a fire on your ship and you feel so vulnerable, and to her point, what if it had been worse? What would have happened? And then days go by and you don't have power. It doesn't just make you appreciate the small things in life. It makes you appreciate life.
It does indeed. We've got another person who's got an appreciation of life.
Yes, please come on in.
Rob Kent?
Kenny, Illinois, Irish.
All right, so you just made it onto terra firma. How does it feel?
It's good. I mean, obviously, it's good to be back on solid ground, and I mean, just you think about a good 3-day cruise that we had, and then it was a bad 4-day camping trip. So, what are you going to do?
You say that with a laugh, but
yes.
There are a lot of people who painted a very dire circumstance and made it sound really awful. And we're wondering, from your perspective, what did you do?
I think it's all to the individual how they perceive the cruise that we were on. For me, you just try to make the best of the situation you're in. What I thought was interesting is you had groups of people just coming together, power of a human spirit. Just to, we had charging stations. It was like the daily activity. We would all gather around certain areas that would have power and literally put charging areas. So it looked like a spaghetti bowl of people just hanging around. We played music, and it was we drank club soda and Sprite and Coke. So that's what we did.
Well, I heard they were giving away free alcohol too. It was
I think they did one of the nights. So I'm sure that was a good welcome relief for many. Absolutely.
This is really one of those classic experiments where you take a population, you isolate them, you take away just about every modern convenience, and then you work to see whether they, good human nature rises to the top or fails. In that experiment that you just went through, what would you say happened?
I think you hit on the head. It's like it's not being connected with the outside world, because we felt really when the first day the day of the fire, and it was we had later in the day, there was like, okay, there's going to be a sister ship coming, going to drop provisions, and we were like, oh, well, they're going to have Wi-Fi on there, so maybe we can get out, because our communications pretty much were cut off, that we could get on the boat. So the ship came closer, and we're like, hey, we're getting signal, you getting out, so people were giving each other cell phones. Hey, I can't get out, but I have whatever carrier, and able to get through to loved ones, and so that was awesome. And then obviously the next day we were able to get 2 more provisions dropped from other ships, and I think that kind of really kept people's spirits up. But there was the three days where we had zero communication, so I think people were getting a little antsy because they wanted to want to talk to your loved ones and let you know how we're doing. And
were you ever worried or afraid? I mean, there's a fire on the ship, and just because we heard about how it was listing. I mean, there had to be moments where you said, I'm vulnerable out here. Did you never feel that way?
Yeah, I mean, a little bit. Like I said, my personality is to take things in stride. I don't want to worry too much, but I don't get overexcited. But what I do remember is when you're going through the muster station drills and just safety procedures, and they're talking about, the worst thing that can happen on a ship is a fire, and you're like, yeah, well, that's not going to happen. Yeah. And then of course you're woken up at 5:30 a.m. by the captain saying Alpha Team, and you're putting 2 and 2 together, and then you smell smoke, and so that was a little unnerving. So I think at that point you're like, we're out here in the Gulf, and there's nothing out here, and that was a little scary. We were dead in the water. I mean, for the no way else to put it. So.
And the isolation factor you described, this is the same sort of thing many people who went through Katrina in New Orleans, others that were left behind. They never heard anything either, and your mind begins to race. You wonder if anybody knows of the circumstance you're in. You think you're all alone, and of course, any rumor becomes solid fact, and it spreads in a very closed environment. So I imagine it's something very similar.
Yeah, but let's put that perspective. I mean, Katrina was a major devastation.
Sure.
We're on a freaking cruise ship, and we're just out having a good time. So, from that angle, I get it, because it is this isolation of communication, but two different things. And it's
what was it like when you first were able to talk to someone?
Yeah, it was great. Getting through to my wife, being able to talk to my kids just for a little bit, just to say, hey, I'm out here, I'm all right, was awesome to be able to do that. And, I mean, you speak to them a couple days, and you're on a cruise, and so that was good, just to be able to have that, knowing that, hey, I'm okay, we're still here, we're not sinking or anything like that.
So will you go on a cruise again?
I would, yeah. I mean, it's going to take a while. It's not going to be like next week or anything. So, I'd hate to have this happen in Alaska. That would be kind of brutal, But at least it was good weather, and, people were out, made the best of it. And
at least you had a coat. We just were talking to 2 ladies who had their robes on.
Yeah, I think